Originally, all you had Taylorsville, which was the capital, a planned capital of the county. You had Stony Point, which had a few businesses, and that was in what was formed Alexander County. And you had a roundabout way of getting to Taylor by dirt road. Hidden was born and raised in Providence, Rhode Island. And when he was 16, he left home, went to New York City, and got hired as a graphic artist for stock certificates. That's what so he knew how to draw really, really well. But he became a mineral collector in New York City, and he enjoyed minerals. So through that, he joined at that time, it wasn't a separate club, it was the New York Academy of Science, and he met all the notable scientists at that time. And Frederick Coons, who was working for Tiffany, sold a mineral collection on the side to Edison, Thomas Edison in New Jersey. So Coons said, hey, let's come with me, and you could view the collection I put together for Edison. When he was visiting with Edison had been, at that time, thought he had to have platinum as a filament to do an electric light bulb. So he was asking everybody he met if they knew where he could buy large quantities of platinum. And Hidden didn't know, but he said, well, they found traces of it in California and Canada and along the Appalachians down through Georgia. And Hidden and Edison said, hey, would you be willing to make a trip and look for it for me? I'll pay for it. Hidden said, great, I'll do it. So he basically got his traveling stuff together. He bought himself a train ticket. Thomas Edison paid for it, and he started traveling down by railroad heading towards Georgia. And he got down to Statesville at that time, this is 1879, had a railroad connection. So he went into Statesville and he asked around, who knows minerals? And he was introduced to John Adelaide Donald Stevenson, who ran a business in town, and I can go back to that later. And Stevenson said, come on in, I'll show you my mineral collection. And there was no platinum in the collection, but he loved the minerals. And he noticed some interesting green things that looked like emeralds. And Stevenson said they were emeralds, and they were. So he said, hey, could you take me there? So here it is, still being paid before by Edison. He ran off in a buggy with Stevenson to the Warren farm, and he was showed where the stuff was found in the dirt. And after he finished working for Thomas Edison, he got back to New York. He knew he wanted to go mining there because the minerals were so easy to find. And he searched for backers to provide him money. And he found the company of Urington and Partners, which was he was a jeweler, gemologist in New York City who dealt in converting raw stones to faceted stones. So we're talking diamond faceting as well as colored stone faceting. And Urington and his partner advanced him money to get a 6-month lease on half the farm. So he went in March of 1879, in March of 1880, he went back to the farming community, approached Warren and offered to lease the farm for $500 for 6 months and half the farm, and that he would only be doing it for mining of minerals, excluding gold, and that he would only mine and take up land that he was used for mining. So he wouldn't interfere with agriculture wherever he wasn't mining. And it also contained an option for him to buy the entire farm. He went and leased it for 6 months, mined it for 6 months, found emeralds, found a new mineral, which immediately sold as faceted stones. And he then bought, with cash provided by Urington, the farm outright. So from 1880 to 1882, it was privately owned by Urington, his partner, and Hidden. The Emerald and Hiddenite mine, the official one, was only on the Warren farm. The farm that was right next to it, they found some emeralds on that, and Hidden bought that using his mother-in-law's money. And that's the thing they called the Morton tract. That was actually the Lyon farm. It used to be the Pendergrass farm, but Pendergrass wanted to retire, so he did the normal deal for retirement that was traditional in farming countries, which is you sold your farm to another farmer and you were allowed to live cash-free on your old farm until you passed away. So the new buyer was Lyon. So there were emeralds on the Lyon, so that was purchased by Hidden. The next farm over, it was the Lackey farm, and they were finding emeralds on that. So before Hidden was able to buy all of that, you had the Morton tract finding emeralds, the south half of the Lyon plantation farm that had emeralds. You had the Miller farm, which is actually to the northeast of Warren's farm, that had emeralds on it, and you had the Lackey farm, and that one had emeralds on it. So there was really only one mine working, which was Hidden's mine, but there were other places where farmers would look for emeralds, find them, and then sell them. He hired anywhere, depending on when he was working in his operation, he hired between 15 to maybe 22 people, including 3 sons of Mr. Warren, George Washington Warren. Those 15 to 22 men, they were all local farmers who basically took care of their living needs, growing crops, selling tobacco for a little bit of cash, weaving or sewing their own clothes, but they still needed a little bit of cash. So they could work part-time for Hidden and earn cash. And Hidden was not someone who, he'd explain what he wanted done, and then he left you alone. He was not a micromanager. And he respected his people, and he talked with them. And he was, by the way, he was not an absentee miner either. He was out there. Hidden wanted a rail line for himself. This is so he could come and go from there. So he went to the railroad, and this was traditional all across the whole country. He went to the railroad and said, hey, I'll give you the right of way for free, and I'll give you lumber to build the station. And they said, okay. So the railroad got put in 1887 successfully due to political controversies and battles. What started out as an insult, calling it the Junebug line, became a symbol of pride. And it only had 3 stations, Iredell in Iredell County, Sloan, which stands for Sloan's Store. So they put a station where there was a store, Hiddenite, and then of course the railroad ended in Taylorsville. Once you had a railroad there, now you have stuff coming in. You can start opening businesses. You can have a dry goods store. You can ship your agricultural surplus out. And that was the real beginning of the village of Hiddenite, named for the mineral, although the mineral was named for the man. What was it like? Okay.